it's all about how much you give. And I know we want to make money, right? You're like, but Miles, you're talking about giving, all giving. Like, when do I get money? We get money when we've created enough goodwill and created enough value in our audience that we put a well-timed recommendation for a Facebook course, and crazy amounts of money can be made when that's timed properly.
Hello, and welcome to the Millennial Mastermind Podcast. I'm your host, Brad Mulvey. If you're a millennial looking for actionable advice and a proven formula on how to build the life of your dreams, then this is the show for you. Each week, I'll be connecting with inspiring guests who will be sharing their wisdom on how to reach success. So if you're ready to take your life to the next level, buckle up and enjoy the ride. What is up, guys? I've got a badass episode for you today. I'm talking with Miles Beckler. You can check Miles out at milesbeckler.com, and that's Beckler for Beckler. I was connected with Miles by a member of the Millennial Mastermind group, and the reason being that the dude is just straight up a champ. Along with his wife, he's built businesses that afford them the lifestyle to live life on their terms. And what I mean by that is that they have built businesses that give them the opportunity to live with the ultimate amount of freedom. That's financial freedom, freedom of their time, and freedom of their location. What do I mean by that? Well, he recorded this episode from his Jeep in Montana while they were out mining for sapphire, because that's just something they've always wanted to do. And it was a Monday. Yeah, the dude can really run his life how he wants to. Miles is an internet marketing influencer. Him and his wife run a meditation business with multiple streams of income, and he's just a cool guy. This conversation left me feeling so psyched up, and I know it's going to have the same effect on you. So without further ado, please give it up for Miles Beckler. Welcome back to the Millennial Mastermind Podcast, ladies and gentlemen. As always, super pumped that you guys took a few minutes out of your day to join us here today. And I am just chatting now and getting introduced to an awesome guest today, Mr. Miles Beckler. Miles, how's it going, my friend?
Man, I'm excited. I'm happy to be here, ready to drop some knowledge bombs for the audience. Stoked to have this moment with you and with the listener.
No, absolutely. And I am the one who is stoked because you have really done the things that I'm looking to do in my own life. You have built a business and really a life that you are in total control of. And so that's really where I kind of want to dive in today and talk about is, how did you get started down this entrepreneurial road, first of all, and then we can dig into where you're at today and how you ended up in Montana, of all places, as we record this conversation.
So I've always had kind of an inkling since I was a kid of entrepreneurial spirit, but I never really got serious till I hit a very low point in my life. Disgust can actually be an incredibly motivating emotion. And my father, who worked for the same corporation for 33 years, 2 years before his full retirement, he got laid off. I was just coming out of college and realized that I had $50,000 in student loan debt, and I had not learned a skill that was going to help me pay that back. College was definitely not a door opener to pay off that student loan, and really was kind of down in the dumps from there. And I had dabbled in internet stuff before. I was playing in the real estate world, and that was crashing down. That was in 2009, and I had just met my wife, and we were like, we're here to do something big. We got to do something, and we just kind of started building a content-based WordPress website in the spirituality and meditation niche, which is a passion my wife and I both have, and just kind of almost just too dumb to know it wouldn't work to through hard enough to the point where it actually started working for us.
I love it. I think that's key sometimes because I was on the exact same spot.
Yeah.
Nice.
So we pushed forward for a few years, kind of stumbled forward, and then that was '09. We started the first website. In about 2013, it really hit this tipping point where it was able to kind of pay for any kind of lifestyle we wanted. I lived on the North Shore of Tahoe, snowboarded every day. When it was powder, I was paddleboarding every summer day. And then finally we decided, let's just give up on this rent thing and just travel. And we've been full-time traveling for the last 4 years. I've lived in New Zealand, Australia, Bali, Thailand, Mexico, Costa Rica, all over the U.S., up in Canada, Hawaii, and I hang around the Pacific. I love the ocean, love paddle surfing, and so we keep growing our business as we go, and that's kind of where we're at this point.
Dude, that is awesome. And I know that a lot of people, when they talk about entrepreneurship, they talk about lifestyle businesses, and you hear the term freedom thrown around a lot. And just from hearing your story, it seems that freedom has definitely been a theme. So I'm curious, what does that word mean to you?
Everything. Man, just everything. Like, because freedom has so many layers to it, and yes, there's a financial freedom level that my wife and I have unplugged, but honestly, I think it's the location freedom and the time freedom that I value the most. And like, don't get me wrong, like I love the income. It's rewarding. My monthly income's more than what my annual income used to be, so it's kind of crazy in that sense. But the ability to like take a nap during the middle of the day, to not work if I don't want to hop a flight and go across the world, and my business continues to grow. Like, those lifestyle freedoms are, oh man, that's what it's about. And we were conscious about this as growing our business. We always kind of look at, like, there's a lot of opportunity. I could open more businesses. I could do more with the skills I've developed, but I always look, there's always a take, right? There's a give and take, and it's like, okay, I could potentially make more money, but at what cost to my lifestyle?
Mm-hmm.
And that's really got me focused on what's important, going deep instead of going wide, and really just keeping an eye on that lifestyle freedom, because lifestyle creep is real. Some people start making a few $100,000 a year, and all of a sudden they get a really big house, they get 2 cars, they get a boat, they get a this, and they're still broke at the end of the year. And it's kind of scary.
Yeah, that's fascinating, because I think a lot of people are driven by some of those things you just mentioned. Who doesn't want to have a boat and nice cars and a nice house and those things? So how do you keep an eye on that as you guys scale your business? You see that monthly income growing. How do you keep yourself in check there?
Yeah, so I've gotten really excited and interested in the idea of investing. And the theory of, like, as we're building our business right now, we're not just paying for ourselves. My wife's 31, I'm 35. I'm not just paying for my 35-year-old self. I need to be paying for my 70 and 80 and 90-year-old self also, because I don't have a pension. We don't have those kinds of things. So we're trying to play the grown-up game as best we can. And we still have our own twists to it. I love cryptocurrencies and some of these kind of more kind of our age, our generation kind of ways around that. But the other side of it is being completely minimalist. I mean, I've got a Jeep, so everything I own fits inside of a Jeep that's also a camper. And then when we travel internationally, I mean, we carry like a bag or two. And I mean, we have no storage unit. We have no empty building in some random town waiting for us to come home full of stuff. So we just can't tack on a lot of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And that's been kind of a limitation just by design. If I want to go get a new pair of shoes, I kind of got to get rid of a pair of shoes.
Yeah, and when you say that you just have a Jeep, I saw the tour you gave of your Jeep on your YouTube channel, and anybody listening to this has to go check it out because this is the most souped out Jeep I've ever seen in my life. And you guys, literally, it is a traveling home in the size of a Wrangler. It's amazing.
It is. Yeah, and it's got a fridge and a rooftop tent, kind of pop-up camper. And so the things we have, I would say, we do lean towards quality things that are going to serve us and help us kind of really live this lifestyle the way we want. I love getting deep into the mountains, deeper than most people ever get, and you got to have the right kind of vehicle for that kind of stuff. And when we travel, like going to Bali or Mexico, we stay in beach mansions. But the cool thing about it is these beach mansions are so much less expensive than a suburban room in the San Francisco Bay Area where I grew up. So it's like we get to live so much. I don't want to say lavishly because I don't know if it's lavish, but we just get to live our dream at a fraction of the cost of that commuter lifestyle.
Yeah, and I think one thing that you mentioned there that is a recurring theme that I've heard from other guests on this show as well is that kind of decluttering your life and being able to live just on those things that you need, and not just with things, but also you said that you come from a background of mindset and meditation, those things, and that's very much present in that space. Just being able to free yourself of all the junk, the things that are weighing you down, whether it's physical items or mental items. So I love that you guys hone in on that.
And even domain names, right? Like when you start to learn internet marketing skills, you're like, oh, I could build a site around that. I could build a business around that. And all of a sudden your energy is spread so thin across so many things. I call myself a recovering opportunity seeker. I mean, I have tried so many different business things throughout the years, and every time I do something full on, and for some reason, 6 months later, I'm doing something else full on, and 6 months, and I'm just trying this, and I'm always dabbling. I never went deep with one thing long enough for it to work. And it wasn't until we went really deep on this one kind of niche site for it to really work. We worked it for 8 years. It kind of branched off, and it built a membership. So we kind of have two businesses under the meditation area. And then as of last year, I started teaching internet marketing through my YouTube channel. And that's kind of like the third leg of income at this point. And, like if something happened to one of our traffic sources or one of our income sources, we're good. But we got to this point by going really, really deep with one business for like 5+ years, putting the blinders on, ignoring all the shiny objects, because there's a million ways to make money online. It's easy to stay confused and in research mode forever. It's really difficult to put out a piece of content that's being of service to an audience on a regular basis for years on end. And that's what creates success, is what you're doing with this podcast.
So I want to dig into that a little bit, because I think you're totally right. There's so much you can do, and there's so many opportunities out there. But we also always constantly hear preached, especially in the entrepreneur space, how you have to fail fast and fail your way forward and try different things to figure out kind of what sticks, what works. So how do you know the difference between, what you have to, not fail at quickly, but what you have to kind of recognize quickly as an opportunity that's not going to take you where you want to be, to one that you need to really go deep on and stick with it for those 5+ years to make it happen?
It's a brilliant question. And to me, it's in your heart. It has to be something that's in your heart. Businesses that work are things that people are passionate about. It's things that people would do whether there was a business around it or not. My wife and I, before we met, we were both meditating all of the time, mostly because we hated our lives. We had created lives that we did not like. So meditation was like the only thing that felt good. But then we realized that sharing this with others, I mean, some of the feedback we get from our customers, it brings chills to my spine and my arm, like goosebumps. It's crazy how helpful this is. I've got a friend, let's totally make this different. I got a friend who loves remote control airplanes. Not quadcopters or drones, which are super popular right now. And had he only been thinking with his business mind, he probably would have gone in the quadcopter space or the drone space. But he loves RC planes, so he's built a platform around remote control planes. And in his first year, he sold something like $100,000 worth of other people's RC car parts and kits, etc., because he's just documenting what he's doing with RC planes. And you can't fake that. Had he tried to do the drone thing, it wouldn't have worked for him, because he just doesn't like drones, and that's okay. And that's where I really think it's like, it needs to be something that you're either like passionate about. It could be a sport, it could be a hobby, a lifestyle, it could be fitness, it could be bowling or golf, right? Or there's a little caveat here. if you have a big problem in your life that's going to take 2 to 5 years to solve, then documenting your process of solving that problem. And I think you had a bit of that approach with this podcast of like,
No,
I'm going to figure this out. So let me get all the smart people I can find to answer questions so I can figure that out. And I'll just document this in a way that others can listen. Well, man, whether you knew it or not at the time, brilliant positioning. You get to share the stage with some of the smartest people in the area. Leveraged credibility works massively for you. You're building relationships, and relationships are everything, right? So there's so many ancillary benefits, and you are, in your heart, you're hungry for this content. So you're excited to, what is it, a Monday evening, right? Like, you're excited to take the time to get on the line with me. And that's because this is something that's coming from within you. You didn't go necessarily looking for the right niche. You went within to find what needed to be solved in your life and decided to document the process.
Yeah, no, I think you're making me sound a lot smarter than I am, but some of those benefits definitely did trickle along, and I'm learning that I lucked into this in some ways. But I think that you're absolutely right, because I get very excited about chatting here with you. I have no problem, spending a Monday night doing this. But then there's those times, and let me know if I'm wrong here, but I feel like in any journey like this, people have certain things about it that they may not be psyched about. And for me, that's when I'm editing. Maybe it's a Sunday afternoon, it's nice outside, but I know I need to get an episode out the next day. But it's my passion for this part of it, these conversations, and then the feedback I hear from the guests that keeps me going. So I think, if I'm hearing you right, it's also that passion and that excitement that keeps you going when you have to do the things that you may not love to do with your whatever gig you're doing.
And deadlines are brilliant. Like, you found ways to apply leverage to yourself, right? So your deadline of I got to get a show out every week means you got to get somebody on the line, you got to record it, right? There's things you have to do. The cool part is, once you start generating revenue, you can begin to outsource the pieces of the puzzle that take the longest and that you're not stoked on, which allows you to stay in your genius zone more. Like, no one can do a radio interview for you and your channel but you, right? Like, you're Brad, like, you're the guy, this is your thing. So like, you need to keep doing that. But there's probably 1 million plus people in the world who could edit your podcast episodes and pop those things out so you could publish them. So once you get cash flow, like, that's how my wife and I have done it. We started by doing absolutely everything, and when our cash flow reached certain points, we began outsourcing a lot of the different components within our business to other people to allow us to focus what's really within our sweet spot, or what's really in our passion zone. And then the work product you're putting out is better. Everybody's more excited. You can even publish more, and you can kind of like increase that growth curve. But again, finding ways to get leverage on yourself, and deadlines are powerful. We committed to a publishing schedule, to a membership 4 years ago. We sold it for $37 a month, and man, we haven't missed a publishing deadline in 4 years, and members keep lining up and paying us every month, and it's pretty powerful. And sometimes we don't want to do it, but it's the night before, and like, I'll be damned if we're going to miss that, right? So we just suck it up and get it done. But we've also built teams to help with 80% of the legwork, so we can do that 20% that makes all the difference.
Yeah, no, I think you're definitely right there. I mean, I've always been somewhat of a procrastinator, so deadlines are key for me. So that's definitely, but I never really thought of it that way. It kind of just fell into that natural rhythm of, you know what, I have to get things out. I'm going to make sure that I get it out by then. But so on the outsourcing piece, I'm curious, when did you guys know it was the right time to do it? Was just as soon as you were making enough to be able to outsource that, enough revenue, then you turn that switch on? Or I think that's something that I struggle with is, okay, do I wait till I am making somewhat of an income to go ahead and then start doing that with the extra budget there? Or the second that I hit that point where I have enough to cover editing, we'll use as an example here, do I just go ahead, turn it on there, and let more revenue come from my increased productivity based on the time that I'm saving?
Yeah, it's kind of a chicken or the egg type question, right? So one of the caveats, and this will kind of broaden my story for the listeners a little bit and for us. So as we were building this website on WordPress, learning content marketing and keyword research and how to publish blog posts in a way that gets Google to drive us traffic, I learned a lot about how that works, right? That whole game of how to structure content in a way that the search engines deliver it to interested people. So I started building WordPress websites for local businesses before our business was able to pay for us full time. Right. So it was like a side project. It was something we worked on in the mornings and the evenings before and after work. And then with what I learned, I was like talking to business owners like, hey, do you get much traffic from Google? No, I don't. I really wish I did. I could help you with that. So that gave me experience. And I started outsourcing those tasks almost right away. So I probably got an earlier experience in outsourcing because I had other people giving me money in order to manage the process. Right. So in your situation, I don't know if this is something you want to do, but an idea could be to potentially create, like systemize your services, offer those services to other people. Then when you get maybe 2 clients doing editing services, you find someone to do all of them, and those clients are paying for your editing services. It's really a personal question, though, of how you approach when to outsource. And I think one of the big questions is like, what's your monetization looking like? Is the cash flow really consistent? Because the cash flow needs to be consistent, because if we grow the team faster than we grow the cash flow, that can become a challenge. And if it frees up your time, if you free up 4 to 6 hours a week, do you have income producing activities that you could do for those 4 to 6 hours per week that would earn more than what you would pay someone to do the editing? Right. So if editing's $15 an hour, can you make $40 or $30 an hour for those 6 hours? In that sense, it makes very good sense to do more outsourcing.
Right. No, yeah. When you put it that way, it's just simple math.
It is. And I broke everything repeatedly trying, like I've done it wrong. I've hired people, like it has not been like easy. Outsourcing sounds like this easy solution. Personally, just to drop a couple of resources I use, upwork.com is pretty good. It's a little higher priced, but I've had great luck with onlinejobs.ph, which is a Filipino job board, and most of my team lives in the Philippines. So there's kind of a dollar arbitrage there. My customer support, my developer, my graphics designer, my transcriptionist, my audio engineer, they're all actually in the Philippines. So a few $100 a month goes a long way versus what it would do here in the US.
Yeah, that's a great resource, and you're definitely not the first person I've heard mention the Philippines. So that sounds like an area that produces a lot of there's a lot of great talent out there that people can leverage here in the States.
Absolutely.
So to bring it back to the audience a little bit, I know that some folks are going to be listening to this and they're going to be psyched up and they're going to be ready to start doing this for themselves. So where would you recommend somebody starts when they're listening to this and they really want to get on that track of on the way to living that freedom-based lifestyle where they have control of their time, they have control of their schedule, and also that financial freedom aspect, which allows a lot of those things to happen? Where would you recommend that a young person even starts to dabble in this arena?
So it always comes back to looking within oneself to get started. And we will get to like technical, real kind of outworldly things, but there's the finding that passion point, that thing that you have really interest in that you would kind of do for 5 years anyways, whether you're building a business around it or not. There's that side of it, which is really important. The next one is to know what your best or most comfortable method of creating content is. Are you naturally a writer? Do you like to write? Are you naturally a speaker? Are you someone who loves being on camera? And when you see that record light on, you just light up and you perform, right? So you got to know that about yourself. And then once you know which kind of medium is best for you, commit to it. So if you're a writer and like writing comes naturally and being on camera scares you, don't try to go to YouTube and become a YouTube star. It's going to freak you out. It's going to add challenges that you don't need to deal with. So at this point, we know what the niche is and we know the content method that we'll be creating and producing content in. At this point, this is the little shift that I have, is you need to get into the mind of the individuals who are interested in that topic, and you need to figure out how to be of service to those individuals. So this podcast, for example, millennials seeking to build businesses, become entrepreneurs, kind of create lifestyle freedom. So how did you go about the process of creating valuable content for this audience? Well, you're interviewing experts and you're recording it and you're publishing it in a way that they're gaining access to it. My wife and I, about meditation, a lot of people don't know what meditation is. They think, oh, I'm not good at it and this and that. So we've written probably close to 1,000 blog posts answering every single specific question we can find that people are searching to answer all of their meditation questions, right? Like literally we're just putting out helpful content that answers their questions. With me on my YouTube kind of channel that I've been running with for about a year, I'm answering every single question I can think of or research about how to do Facebook advertising, how to do blogging, how to do keyword research. I just make videos that teach people how to do these things. So when people go to the search engines, whether it's YouTube or Google, and they type in how to run Facebook ads, my video pops up. They watch my video, and this is audience building. And the most important thing to do is grow an audience, and ultimately you want to grow an email list. Because when you have that email list, that's actually an asset that you own. And from here, you can do affiliate, you can recommend physical products, you can recommend information products, you can create your own information products, but ultimately, you have to have an audience of people who know, like, and trust you before you can ever sell something. And that's why I'm so focused on look within that thing you're passionate about, because if you're not passionate about, people will smell it. And they won't want to watch your videos or read your blog posts because they can tell that you're just not that into it like they are. Create content, lots of helpful content. And then at that point, you can begin to run advertising. You can do affiliate marketing and all of the different things. So one real tangible tool, WordPress is it's free. All you need to host is hosting. It's the best blogging platform there is. And then the one skill I would say to learn would be keyword research. I've got a great video and an hour tutorial on how to do that on my YouTube channel. I'll link you to that, put it in the show notes.
That'd be great.
Because what that does is it allows you, so you're like, okay, cool, RC car planes, right? Like what questions do people have about these planes? Well, they go to Google and they type in the questions, and there's tools that allow us to see how many people are searching for specific questions. And that's how we come up with the topic ideas for what we create content on.
Beautiful. It's a well-oiled machine, Miles. You've got it. So one missing link there, when people, they find you on YouTube, they're just loving the content you put out, they're subscribing to your page. How do you take them off of YouTube and get them somewhere where you can capture their email address so you can start building that list?
That's a great question, and that's the $1 million question in my personal opinion. YouTube is actually not the best for getting users off of YouTube. YouTube users are notorious for binge watching, staying on YouTube all day, and not really leaving through the links in the description. So it's difficult. I send them to my WordPress website. What I've done is I've created a case study about how I generated like 14,000 leads on Facebook in 30 days for like $800, which is pretty astounding numbers. And I just recommend, hey, if you want to see my exact funnel and my exact advertisements for how I did this, go check it out. And it's what's called a squeeze page. And it's a very simple page that has a headline and it's got a button that's a call to action. There's no navigation, no long text. It's maybe 40 words tops. And it just says, enter your email below and get the case study that explains how I created these results in this amount of time. And about 40% of people who reach that page opt in. And then I give them the content. And then I follow up with them with an autoresponder. And it kind of automates the process of relationship building. And I'm always focusing on giving more value to the audience. Right? It's all about how much you give. And I know we want to make money, right? You're like, but Miles, you're talking about giving, all giving. Like, when do I get money? We get money when we've created enough goodwill and created enough value in our audience that we put a well-timed recommendation for a Facebook course, and tens of thousands, like crazy amounts of money can be made when that's timed properly. If we're shoving that course and that affiliate link up front, and we're always promoting that paid thing up front, people feel like they're just watching sales pitches. But when you build that relationship, it's like, if you want to, so you're at a bar and you see a really pretty girl, and there's two approaches to this game. Number one, you pull a ring out of your pocket, you get on your knee, and you ask her to marry you right then and there. Odds are that's not going to work. But if you go up, you start a conversation, you take her out to eat, you show her a good time, you show her that you're funny, you're clever, and you're helpful, that is the path. And we need to take that approach within our businesses, because there's too many people who get into it and they're like, oh my gosh, I could do drop shipping. I could sell this product. Oh, everybody buy my thing. And it actually repels more people than, causes more damage than it helps.
I love that analogy. And odds are, if that first attempt does work and she says yes, she's not going to be there long term. And so going back to the customer base, it's not going to be a customer that is really loyal to you, your brand, and your products. So I think that you're spot on there.
Yeah, and what you're talking about is getting down that lifetime value idea. I know the lifetime value of my leads. I know the lifetime value of my customers. So if they don't buy on the first one or two emails, I'm okay with that. I keep building that relationship, because I know that we have some members who have been paying, $37 a month for 4 or 5 years now. Like, these are great customers who at one point they just found a Facebook post of mine and clicked through to see what was going on. So it's really honoring that kind of relationship. And so many people, they go for the quick sale. And they forego what could be a very long, profitable relationship, because all they can see is that quick sale. So it's a paradigm shift, but it's valuable.
So Miles, if you could go back in time and give yourself a piece of advice to, say, the 25-year-old version of yourself, we'll go back 10 years, anything you've learned along this journey that you could pick out, just one really solid piece of advice to give yourself at that point in time?
Start publishing every day, period. Put something out every single day, whether it's a blog, a video, a vlog, a blog post, a podcast. Put out some piece of content to the world every single day. So I started my YouTube channel putting out one video a day for 90 days in August. It has proven to be wildly successful, and if I had started that 10 years ago, it would be insane right now. So it literally would just be start the process of publishing content sooner.
Gorgeous. I love that, and I think that's an awesome place to wrap it up. So, Miles, if people want to check out more about you, if they want to go on YouTube and see some of your awesome Jeep or any of the other cool content that you're putting out there, that's a little bit more actionable and a little more education-focused, where can they find you?
Sure. My YouTube channel is youtube.com/MilesB, and my blog is milesbeckler.com. I happen to be the only Miles Beckler in the world, so if you search for me on like Instagram or just search Miles Beckler on YouTube, I pretty much pop up, because I'm kind of the only one, so I kind of lucked out with that.
Awesome. Yeah, and we'll have all that linked up in the show notes, as well as anything else that was mentioned in this episode, such as that keyword research tutorial that you've got on your site there. But Miles, thanks so much for stopping by. This has been awesome. A lot of value bombs that you dropped, and a lot of really actionable pieces as well that people can really start working on. So I really appreciate your time here today.
Man, it's my pleasure. Thanks for having me on, and it's just a wonderful opportunity to be of service. So thank you again.
All right, guys. Well, that is a wrap. I hope you enjoyed this episode with Miles. You can check out the show notes for this episode at millennialmm.com/Miles Beckler, or you can check out all of the show notes for any episode and listen to those episodes as well at millennialmm/podcast. And a little bit ago, you heard Miles talking about giving value and the importance of giving value. So I wanted to ask you guys, is there someone in your life who you think would enjoy this episode or could really use this message in their life? If so, why don't you go ahead and give them some value by going and sharing this episode with them? And of course, I would be eternally grateful for that as well. So with that, I hope you guys have a fantastic week, and I'll see you again next time. Take care, y'all.